G'day guys, just going to go through this meeting at Kenzo track from Saturday. I'm not a fan of the Kenzo. I don't think I'll ever be a fan of the Kenzo. I'm not sure how we line the form up. It's good that they don't race too many times on a Saturday here, but going forward I just sort of have to really look closely at these runs again heading into wherever they go next start. From a bias perspective, I thought it was not easy. The 1,000, the shoot races, the 1,011, 1150 races did look like it was a bit of an on pace inside in the run. Sort of first four lanes were a slight advantage possibly, but then there was others that sort of made a bit of ground out wide. So it was a bit weird. And then when you look at the other races, so races that weren't run from the chute, it looked like on pace was pretty good again, but it was an advantage to be sort of 4 or further off in the straight. So I'm not going to be too harsh when it comes to a bias. Probably be just a little bit wary of the form overall, to be honest. There are a couple of races that look like they were pretty solid quality, and then we've got others that were a bit less than. So just starting with the 2-year-old, it was a 2-year-old to start the day. This looked like a good race on paper. Didn't disappoint, but there were a couple of disappointments in the race. You saw Secret Revolutions obviously got some breathing issues or something. I saw there was some interesting gear changes prior to this race, and the horse sort of had every chance and again dropped out. So obviously some issues there with
red lights.
It's breathing or something, because it's just not finishing its races off. Not much happens at the start. A couple get dragged out from back, but I don't think that had a big play on the race. This horse Sibylla is probably a forgive going forward. This horse out wide here, the Freedman horse, showed a bit of speed and just got caught wide and gets keen, gets checked. It's a forgive. I'm even forgiving London. It's probably first horse exposed there. You can see it throwing its head keen. I think this race will be okay, but there's a few horses that may take longer than others. The leader, Pantenario, certainly ran quite well. Leads Kicks. The horse outside of Glint of Silver, I'll show you it later. I want to have another look at it. The horse behind the leader, Revolutionary Miss, every possible chance. This is Secret Revolution here. So London, California deeply, pretty much every chance. Fireburn out wide here in the red cap, can't knock its effort at all. It certainly sustains the run to the line. The fitness level, of having those couple of runs under its belt certainly helped, but not going to be too harsh on its performance, that's for sure, because it did sustain that run right to the line. So coming to the turn, this horse has worked pretty hard. Glint of Silver, sorry, I should have said, they go out quite hard here. Not ridiculously hard, sort of a length and a half above and then come home 3 lengths below. So it's a fast tempo, but not a really strong race on paper. I just think a lot of these horses have got improvement in them, so very wary of them going forward. So the leader sets a strong tempo, Kicks, nearly looks home here, and just probably dies on its run late, plus the horse that had the soft run behind it and the race fit horse come over the top of it. That all makes sense. London, as you said, sort of just got keen and couldn't finish its race off. You saw Sibylla, I didn't mind. I thought it ran quite well, just didn't have a lot of luck and got lost in the race a bit. Mark Newnham's horse, Wild Irish Rover, went okay, dragged back from the start, and so did this horse, what's it called? Toromonica or something? Toronomica. And the favourite that sort of didn't finish the course. I didn't hate the run of Glint of Silver again. I think you sort of got checked after being outside the leader, and I didn't mind when it gets back to the inside here. It looks like it actually keeps trying, doesn't give up, and I don't mind that about this horse. I think it's got more than what it's shown so far. So interesting race. I'm not running out to back anything for any major 2-year-old races, that's for sure, and you've got to worry when the $3.50 favourite fails in the race that it isn't super strong. The time wasn't super strong. All the Fireburn's form previously was not super strong on paper, so you don't want to be super positive about this race, but I'm just wary that there's a lot of horses who are saying sort of lightly raced, having their first starts and had a few excuses and other things happen. So and this track as well. So just being wary of the form in race 1, not super positive about anything, and the horse that probably had the right run and was entitled to win was Revolutionary Miss. Race 2, Class 3, Highway, 1400 metres. They go out extremely hard here. You come home okay. The times are very good for a Highway over 1400 metres, and looking for positives in this race mainly. Definitely the run of the race is Banju. I don't think you could argue with that. Sits up out 3 wide outside the leaders on a strong tempo and basically runs away from them, and is the strongest in the race on the line. So it's very difficult to say that there was a better run in the race, that's for sure. I'm just going to go back to the start, sorry. This horse here, Majorly. Don't know why in the world they decide to ride it like this. I know it sat outside the speed at Tamworth last start, but they basically walked and it was sort of left there. Today they drive the ears off it, attack the leader, and battles on really well. This horse is going extremely well. I didn't mind the run of the leader. Military Bay, thought its effort was pretty good. You see it sort of gets taken on. I hate when there's a horse up outside you and heading you, and you can see he gets keen and the jockey struggling to restrain him. I didn't think his effort was too bad in this race. Shengui ends up running second, has every chance. Still in fashion back here, gets pulling a bit after being restrained a little bit early to find a spot, and really struggles. And one paced in the straight, went okay. The horses back in the pack who are suited by the tempo here. King's Trust, which makes its customary sprint down the outside and went okay. I thought the runs of the race were the first 3, to be honest, and this is just flying, this horse. It's that run 2 back last start didn't knock it around, and it's come on from it, and just a really strong win. And this horse has gone really, really well as well too for my majority. Just run past late, and a really good horse to find next start, maybe with a rider change when the boys come back from holidays and back from the Gold Coast. Rachel King, those sorts of characters come back. That this horse may find a rider that's more suitable and can run well again. I still think this horse struggles to run 1400. I think this horse needs to drop back in grade a little bit. Still in fashion, but going okay. And back in the pack, this horse here, Military Bay, I thought was the only other one that I really wanted to find going forward in a suitable race. That if it popped up in a race that suits its style, it can run well next time out. Race 3. They go slow here, they come home still below average, and they run terrible time. So very concerned about this form going forward. These horses obviously keep clashing. Very slow run races the last time. Basically most of these runners came against each other. Herman Hess was the new blood to this field, and Born a King, who runs well but from back in the pack. It'd be interesting to see if these horses keep clashing, but any new blood that comes into these races you're going to have to take seriously, because these horses are basically taking turns at the moment and not in quality fashion. They're just sort of, whoever gets the right run is winning at the moment. Lady Loves to Gamble basically drops out late. The horse outside the leader, Herman Hess, gets out sprinted. They go too slow for it after it went too quick last start. So, you're going to have to find a happy medium. This horse is starting to become costly. Black Queen certainly has its chance. 1 out, 1 back. Tawilika drops out. Who's this horse? Back here's Com Bella Fee. The winner's outside it. Here, Oceanic Flash. Is it Maricopa? Sure, what horse is running 5th or 6th there? Anyhow, nothing happens in the whole race. Nothing makes an early move, and Oceanic Flash just out sprints him. I think it's not a bad 2,000 metre horse. Certainly come on, certainly got a bit of upside, but I think we're still flattered here. This horse is just going okay, and really it's a provincial horse, Apache Bell, and it's just been beaten 2 lengths in the race. This horse has been out sprinted, 1 paced, but okay. And look, Apache Bell's nearly the strongest on the line, and Oceanic Flash has nearly had enough. Probably is the strongest on the line. It is the strongest on the line, Oceanic Bell. Yeah. Born a King's run, probably worth talking about. Just taken way back out of the gates. I thought they might go forward and do the opposite to what they did. Took it out of the gates, ridden into the point of the bend, which I don't think you ever really want to do, and just died on its run late, which was entitled to, trying to overcome a slow tempo. But as I said, there wasn't great merit in that last sections. It was a slowly run race where they went really slow and quickened up, but still weren't going fast. So very wary of the form coming out of this. I think Oceanic Flash was certainly flattered. I would assume that it would almost certainly come up under the odds next start wherever it goes, no matter what, unless it comes back in trip and finds another suitable race. But it's probably unlikely, and that horse will be well found wherever it goes next time out. Born a King's a really hard horse to get a handle on, and the others all had their chance in the race. Race 4, 1100 metre race, was it? Or 1000, sorry. I should know this. 1100. Another race, they set a really fast tempo, come home slow, not a bad race. So going in here looking pretty positive.
But that's eased. So Osamu's
looking to be positive. No surprises at the start. Key Largo goes back. He's Super Lucky goes back. Hibiscus Lady goes back. Henschel caught wide. Osamu I thought was ridden overly aggressively. Not really sure what the go was with Prince Invincible. You see it sort of half misses it. It's back in here and is driven off it after it was driven crazy last start. And I think that the tactics were to sort of be ridden a little bit more conservatively if possible. Again, it was just destroyed. He's going okay, only beaten about 3 lengths here, and you can see like he's still at him just coming to the bend, so never really got to rest the horse, and as soon as he did they come up and attacked him. Good War and Osamu. Henschel over-raced early before getting in behind them. Finishes tailed off. Nicole Bell here. I'll go back and look at Key Largo in a minute. He's Super Lucky okay, Hibiscus Lady okay. These horses just one paced in behind. Finally realised, had the run of the race and tried hard, but that's as good as he goes. Nicole Beagle just had enough left in hand, peaked on its run as well, late for mine, but pretty solid. Yeah, this horse is just weird. The ride on this horse is weird. So, okay, you're in a position here where you've got horses outside your horse in front of you. For whatever reason, she's geeing the horse up with nowhere to go. Runs clean up the back of them there, lucky not to knock someone over. Puts the left-hand blinker on here in a second. Oh, no. Puts it on again. Oh, no. Lucky not to clip heels there of Henschel, who was dropping out. Steers it into another dead end. Like, I'm not saying this was all her fault, but it's just very weird the way she's sort of going about it. The horse certainly should have won the race, I would imagine, but everyone in the world would have seen it too, so not much advantage in being lenient on the horse. Just take it into account next start that it was a bit stiff there. Looking down, well ridden the winner, but every chance. Then sort of we're talking about it was a pretty solid race, so it was okay. Boudoir just keeps finding one or two better, one paced on pacer. Finally realised he's got that ability and had the gate to just box seat and ran well. He can run well again. He's Super Lucky. I thought went really well from the back. Obviously pace assisted a little bit, but did make a long run from the 800 and went okay. Key Largo we've talked about. Osamu's Osamu, beaten 2 lengths after sitting wide, no cover on a fast speed. Can't knock it, but it's Osamu. And Prince Invincible, who ran second last, but only beaten 3.75, was just not cleanly away, driven to lead and used far too much up on the speed, and he was a forgive. I thought, pretty standard race, probably a Wednesday race in a few weeks. This was probably the surprise of the meeting, a horse, Moonshine Lady, that always looked like it was going to get control, but I don't think anyone really thought she could do what she did here. She puts a good field away, a good field, a field away quite convincingly. Doesn't run home in outstanding fractions, but no one did really on the day. So this was a well-controlled race that was everyone basically had their chance if they were good enough, and this horse spanked them. So Moonshine Lady straight to the front, first up for the Buchanan stable. Controls the speed for Zanini here over racing. I think it found its level in this race. The horse that was the big query runner was Celestine back on the inside here. No great betting for it, but it wasn't pretty solid. Didn't blow too hard in the market, and thought it was pretty one pace and pretty plain. The strange thing was the money for this Ruby Kisses. I couldn't see how it really could possibly win. And just puts in a pretty one-paced effort. This horse, Irish Angel, is becoming a nightmare. He's got a short turn of foot, really needs things to suit. Obviously didn't get them here, so I forgive. And this horse, Fritz's Princess, Fritz's Factor, was dragged back out of the race at the start after jumping okay. Can settle closer if it draws a gate, but still pretty plain, as you can see. So controls the tempo here. Moonshine Lady. Leprezi settled close, and Misdeeds had the cold run off its back. Looked like it's going to come out and do something, and this horse leaves him standing. So a good little turn of foot here to just put the race right away. See there, change of stride, picks up, puts the length and a half, 2 lengths on them, maintains that to the line. So certainly no knock. Leprezi sits outside the leader, and it's probably nearly the second strongest on the line. Maybe needs a little bit further in leading, and it can run really well next time. Should be ready now after 2 runs for the stable. So no knock at all on the winner. It's got a lot of positive attributes. The way it controlled the race, the good little bit of acceleration it had there, and just look at Celestine through the line again, because it just sort of bobbed up sort of a bit further on through the line, but it can probably improve off a long break. Irish Angel's really proven that it needs conditions to suit to be able to get home in a race. It's only got that short turn of speed and a poor racing pattern, unless it's a really ideal race on paper for it, where it can sort of travel a little bit closer if it's a slow tempo and it draws a gate, something like that. It's certainly a victim of circumstance more often than not, but a pretty quiet race other than that. I thought the first 2 are probably the ones that are ready to win again next start. Mystique was okay first up, it was in the right spot. And we've talked about the rest of Force, and then he probably found its grade here. Irish Angel needs things to suit. Celestine can improve, but probably needs to. Race sucks. Really fast run race, but they come home quick too. Really highly rating above, or times wise, above average race. Kerwin's Lane's just airborne. 2 runs in 2 weeks, 6 days. 2 runs in 6 days, then backed up and just did exactly what it did last start. Sat behind the speed, pulled out strong through the line. There are a couple of disappointments. Batiga's certainly weak late again, but did do a few things wrong. Probably jury's out on the horse altogether at the moment, to be honest. Dream Circle's dragged out, not really to part. This horse is flying Purple Sector, and Big Boy Roy, that's probably his career best, and he was beaten by 2 horses that are probably got a little bit more class and a little bit better turn of foot and can maintain it a little bit longer, and that's why they put the race away. I don't think we'll have to watch this race too many times. Big Boy Roy straight to the front, Purple Sector outside it. I think Mr. Satchmo sits 3 wide. Kerwin's Lane in the middle, Count of Monte Cristo on the fence, and Batiga, who missed the start a little bit, and Dream Circle, who was dragged out of the race out the back. They're probably back there thinking they've gone quick here, we'll get over the top of them late, but they sprint again. They don't really slow down. And just love how this horse is attacking the line. Kerwin's Lane, he's going extra well. And the big fella who sat outside the leader, Purple Sector, he's done a good job to sit outside a fast tempo and get past the leader and be strong to the line. So his 2 runs back have been great. He's ready to peak. This horse, can probably win anything in this sort of grade level over the next few weeks. It's going really well. He could be ridden further back off a fast tempo. He can sit up on a slow tempo. He's nice and adaptable, and just love the way he's like his last 200 metres every time. It's been just super strong. He's run the fastest last 400 of the day, second fastest last 200 of the day, fastest of the race for the last 8, 6, 4, 2. Very hard to argue with his performance. He's just dominant there and way too good. Race 7. What do we got? So a 1,000 metre race here. Betting was really interesting. De Groen was just out the gate. They couldn't write a ticket for it, which was weird considering what dominance it looked like it was going to have over the tempo of the race. Probably ran a bit better than everyone expected, or whoever didn't like the horse. Leo was the disappointment of the race, another horse that was well backed, and the winner was just heavily backed, but just certainly not as good a horse currently as I expected it to be. He's got that short sprint, but just struggles to maintain it. So I think this horse is got to be really well placed, and it was in this particular instance, and that's why it got home. Good horse, don't get me wrong, but it's not as good a horse as I thought it would be. It's not a horse that can be dominant from all positions in a race. It needs things to fall its way like it happened here. So De Grauwen and Leo lead. Sorry, just checking the speed. A little bit above average, but not really. So they're going a little bit. They're not going as quick as they probably look, but for the day it was quite quick. Dragonstone had the run here. Van Geers gets held up slightly, but a little bit more one-paced after the freshest out of its legs first up. These horses both had their chance, and Fast Coney's just run off his legs. Leo drops out. De Grauwen kicks. Dragonstone just out sprints him and holds it to the line, but it looks like here you can see that when he pins his ears back and changes, he looks like he's going to put 2 and 3 lengths on this horse. And I'm not saying that De Grauwen is really kicking back hard on him. He's definitely died in his run. I know he's a little bit soft on him late, but still concerned about him maintaining a sprint for further than say 200 or 300 metres, even though it has run a fast last 600. He's sort of really spread it up quick between the 6 and the 4, 6 and the 2, and then after that he sort of levelled out. So very weird sections actually, this horse, but regardless, not much to be learned here. I don't think De Grauwen can improve with natural fitness. I think Van Geers is one of those horses that's really going to need everything to go its way to pick up a race. Invincible Kiss the same. Ocean Emperor not racing well. Fast Coney, that I'd just be treating that as a barrier trial on Leo. Certainly no excuses to be beaten as far as he was there. Race 8. This is probably the surprise packet of the day for me. I thought Favala's form was pretty steady, had things to suit, and I thought that he was almost certainly going to have to sit outside Canasta here, which would probably be a too hard basket job for a horse that's had its own way in easier races. And then when he hasn't been able to get the job done. So surprising that it was able to sit outside Canasta. They probably went a little bit slow. Sorry, once again, check. So a little bit slow out, okay home, pretty neutral race overall. So I think it was very well ridden, not to press there, because if Canasta had wanted to fire up, it could have become a nightmare. So good job to sit outside the leader. Canasta went too slow for his own good, I think. The horse behind the leader, Speed Legend, just over-raced a little bit again, and I just hated what they did on here. So you watch, okay, it jumps well, it's going to lob fourth. For whatever reason, decides to dig the horse up here, and then again there, runs up on heels. No idea why you do that. Now the horse is over-racing. Just a pet hate of mine, got the horse inside it going keen as well too. See him throw its head here, too much to bear. Takes forever to settle. Still pulling. Still pulling. So even though the edge was probably off that first up sprint, this wouldn't help either. So finally settled, pulls out, and pretty good job to stick on for mine. Very concerned about the bunch margins here, but it is a sit sprint. I thought this horse overperformed. Total Recall was a good effort. It's going well. Didn't mind the run of this thing, Singapura. I think it was first up. But that sort of puts a cloud over the race for mine. This horse is certainly just going okay, but needs just the perfect ride to get home. Too much to bear, can probably improve off that, I would imagine. Speed Legends racing really well, but a little bit one-paced at the business end, finds it hard to break through. This horse probably is eligible for easier grade if it wants to, Total Recall, but going really well. For Valor, like, you can't knock it. It's been leading, sitting outside leader, controlling race, and strong through the line again there. So tricky little race, but a lot of these horses could go to separate races. They could sort of end up back at the provincials or back on Wednesday, something like that, and find races that are suitable. And the ones up on the speed, too much to bear, and For Valor probably can find winnable races again off that. Certainly an improved horse for Valor, and improved performance. This one's a bit funny visually. It certainly looks like it went better than it did to the eye. Iron Lethal. They went out pretty slow, come home a little bit above average, but pretty average race overall. And this horse is quite dominant.
Ready to back. About the back with
So these three went back at the start. Interesting, you know, like I really hate it when horses just don't show any natural speed when they have previously, and this horse didn't. I'm like, well, to me normally that means this horse is out of play, and it then sits in a okay spot, but takes off really early and maintains the run quite well. Obviously not super merit in the sections, but maintains a really long run, and you can see even here it's not travelling great. Back to the leaders, and Warrior Hero up out 3 wide. Okay, I think it was a too hard job for it anyway, and it's probably nearly hit the end of its tether. I was surprised they sort of sat outside the leader on Kanazawa, but seemed to, as I said, the tempo's not overly hectic and just ran okay, but it was a big step up in grade. Snits on Fire showed that he's probably looking for a little bit further once again. Socialist held up, comes to the outside, this horse gets around him, and he runs okay, but it didn't cost him the race, that's for sure. Construct, back on the inside, don't think that was the draw for this horse. I think it could improve back in grade from a wider draw. Pardon me. But visually the horse looks like it's really doing something special here, I Am Lethal, and it's really not. It's running away a little bit from one-paced horses. You could say it had a bit of acceleration and maintained a run quite nicely, but sort of the more you look at it, it wasn't really getting away from a few other runners in the race, and you said Snits on Fire is probably looking to further. Kanazawa set up outside the leader second start in the race. So going well, I'm Lethal. That had a few queries against it there. I think it was sort of 28, 29 days between runs. It had synthetic hoof filler or something like that. So it's done well to overcome whatever issues it may have had. Racing well, obviously. It beat Rabamos 2 starts back, I think. And that horse came out and won, and it's come out and won again here. So no knock on its form. Bit of a knock on the race. I don't think it's a super strong race. But this horse has done a good job after sort of missing the start, doing a few things wrong in the run, making a wide and early run, maintaining it to the line. Lucky Last. This is just putrid, this race, and it'll drive me mad. They go slow. This Petronius is unbeaten here now. I think he's 4 from 4 or something crazy. His last run was absolutely diabolical. He sits outside the leader here and wins. I thought Queen Bellissimo was soon to find its sort of level. Rabamos similar. That's kind of what happened with all of them. The 2 better runs in the race are probably Barry Breeze and Badouche, back off at slow tempo, but pretty hard to come into them too much in the future. They've both got negative patterns and need everything to go their way, but they're both going okay. I think Badouche was only first up. Bit of a worry, you watch Badouche here. Just can't go at all early. Can't get interested. And that's a nightmare going forward. Barry Breeze back with it. So Petronius works up outside the leader. Queen Bellissimo. Tanker here, Exotic Ruby, Rabamos, Lavazir, Barry Breeze. So they're obviously going really slow. Badouche. Not much happens. Ruben lost the first one to make an early move. Tanker gets out sprinted, which is not surprising considering the tempo of the race. Lavazir half runs up their backsides, and this was sort of talking about Barry Breeze and Badouche ran. Made good runs long runs from the back of the field, but they're sort of horses that need things to go their way. Rabamos was a little bit plain late, and Petronius just did enough to outsprint the leader after sitting outside it. Can't really hammer anything too much in the race, but certainly very, very wary of this form going forward, especially on Saturdays. I think it's pretty much Wednesday form. The horse that's been disappointing is Lavazir after the first up win. It's just weird. I know it's changed stables in between time. So that's the meeting. Very wary of a lot of things that happen in the meeting. Just be careful going forward with it. And obviously Petronius shows that the form at that track holds up there for whatever reason. So I'm not being too super keen on anything coming out of it, and I'm just going to sort of be forgiving of a few runs too. So just be wary of the form. Thanks, guys.